So just like with English, we have, there are rules and there are always exceptions to the rules. And I think
Yep.
in this case, it's a neatness thing. Like if you had the stems up for the melody and the stems down for the top notes, it would just look awkward. So I think to avoid that, you just have to do it. That's like the best solution. Even that is a little bit, even what's there is a little bit awkward. There
Yeah.
could have been limitations as well with whatever printing technology this edition had. So maybe now we could make it look better with our technology. Back then, they might have had certain I don't know exactly how they were doing it, how they were sort of engraving and printing and everything. So there could have been limitations back then, but I think it's probably a good solution. What they have there is pretty good, like because it's neat and it sort of, even though the melody has the stems down, it sort of it's like made the melody uh, parted or something so that your eye can kind of see
Yep.
the distinction
Distinguish the
between
difference. Yeah.
the difference. But it's a very interesting thing you picked up on, which I wouldn't have picked. I think because you wrote it out, you probably like
Exactly. Yeah, I would
think
have
about
never
that.
noticed
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So then the other thing I noticed in this measure was on the first beat, there's a rest like immediately on top of the bass note, which I
Sorry, which
copied
measure
that.
was that again?
It's it's on the bottom line again, the first measure of the bottom line, or the first, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
Right where it says a tempo.
yeah.
Yeah, right above the A in a tempo is a rest mark.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what the heck is that there for?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think it's very good question. Again, really good things you're picking up on. I think it's that would be the if we were thinking of let me mark in blue the notes that are related to the rest. Do you have the score up on your screen?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's beat one. I
Yep.
think this is beat two, and I think that's beat three.
Yep.
They're connected. This is two beats. This is the bass voice. I'll use a different color to make this really obvious. Use purple. That would be beat one. This is where like having all these voices can get a little bit confusing, and we might be dealing with this a bit when we're writing. It's really something we have to think about sometimes. That's two beats for the bass voice, and then that's the third beat there.
Yep.
So that just leaves the melody. So I'll do that in. Uh, oh gosh, I have so many. Let me make this clearer. Get rid of the green. So we have the two voices, the blue and the purple, and then the third voice would be. I'll do it in red. Yeah, red. We have 1.5 beats, and then that's the half beat to make two beats, and then that's the 2/8 notes to make the third beat. So that's really confusing, but that's the logic behind it. So we have
Nice.
that's
Okay.
one. If you take each color as a separate voice,
Yep.
one beat, two beats, three beats, three quarter note beats there. If we take the red voice, the melody, 1.5 plus a half, so that's two, and then 2/8 notes, that's three, and then
Yep.
the bass voice, two a minimum,
Yep.
and then sorry, a half note, and then a quarter note at the end. So that's three beats as well.
Gotcha. So gotcha. All right. Wow.
Yeah, that's a yeah gnarly bar there. Yeah, yeah.
And so it would have been incorrect to not put the rest there then, right?
It would have been incorrect. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, that's right. Because that's dealing with this voice. So if there was no rest, there'd be a beat missing for that
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah. Okay.
You can hide things like that. Like I think if it were hidden, I don't think it would, unless you were being really sort of nitpicky. I don't think you would necessarily notice it unless you're
Right.
thinking, oh, like, oh, I see this voice here that's only got two beats. Where's the like? I don't think it would sort of affect how you play it at sight.
Right.
But in terms of being just, correct with the details on the score, that's useful to have there. Yeah.
All right, and then I guess
Okay.
yeah, I guess the only other question I had was a similar one, which was that group of notes right above August, the augmented sixth notation
Yeah.
and the fermata. So that A sharp there,
Mhm.
I was wondering about that, but that's clearly just another voice, and that's intended to take up the whole A sharp note. And I get
Yeah.
what I was confused was that there's another A sharp there.
Mm. Mm.
But that's supposed to indicate you got your two voices kind of converging to the
That's
same
right.
note, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Same notes but different function. So that is bass, and the two lower voices, and that's the melody.
Yep.
So that, yeah, you're right. They share the same note there. Really, it's so, because you want to play, each that will be, you want probably quite soft, so that the melody sort of pops out above, and then this one you want to project quite a bit to really point
Yep.
out to the listener that that's the melody.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's, yep. Another good one that you picked
All
up
right.
on. Mhm.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
those were my questions that I came up with while I
Okay.
was topping
Right.
out.
Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can start getting into the fun part now, and it would be great if we could get an A section by the end of this week.
Okay.
We'll see how we go.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just see. I can't really make too many predictions,
Okay.
but let's just have that as an aim and see how we
Okay.
go. Um, so maybe, we can just jump into composing, and maybe if you could grab your grab your guitar, and we'll play around with some ideas.
Okay.
And feel free, if you like, to have some manuscript just to keep, because I'm going to be using Sibelius here,
Okay.
and like, if
Yeah, I
so,
just got my
as
notepad.
we, yeah, that's great. So as we edit, I'll probably be sort of deleting things, and that sort of thing. So if you want to have like a keep track on in your notebook as well, you can do that.
Okay.
But this is also being recorded too, so
Yeah.
we'll have records as well. All right, so if we can get, let's start with the first four measures. Do you see this, the program on your screen there?
Yep.
Is it maybe a bit small?
A
I can
little
make
bit,
that.
but not
I
too
can
bad.
make that a little bigger, something like that. Okay, so we need, set this up. We'll do 3/4, and we'll do E minor, like that. All right. Okay, so since we're doing model composition, where did it go? I'd like to use similar gestures
Okay.
to this. So we talked about this as a sighing gesture here,
Yep.
this semitone leaning, landing on a strong second beat, and then you have this accompaniment on the third beat. So if we can try and kind of mimic that a little bit. And also, if we can try to keep it, I think it's necessary in this case to keep it the same harmony. It's just an E minor
Okay.
harmony in the first bar. So we're going to be playing around with that a little bit. So you have a few options here with this sighing gesture. You can do. It usually works best as a half step or a whole step. In this case, it's a half step, so maybe we can keep that idea of half step
Okay.
there. So you have a few options. This is a descending sighing gesture. You could also do it ascending. So you could go up. You could go
Okay.
like that. Those are just a few options. So, do you want to try and just play some of those sort of gestures, like it's kind of like what I did, and see what you gravitate towards?
Sure. As an example.
Okay, that was interesting. That kind of goes well to A minor. I want to keep track of that though, because we could use that later. So you did,
Yeah.
uh,
F sharp G E.
that what you did there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually,
B, C, E, right? With an A in the base?
Yeah. Yep.
So, that. I mean, then you could just add a bit of A minor at the bottom here. That's something we could use that later. So that's great. Just like that, and then we can already start doing this with the voices. Oops. So that's something. Oh, and then this would be make that third voice. You can now. I'm sort of showing you how you can see. There we go. So that shows you all the voices there. That's for these notes here. You don't have to have it there necessarily, but now we can keep it there. Okay, so that could come in the second part. This composing sometimes works like that. You don't always start at the beginning. You can find a little sort of seed like that for later, which is great. Sometimes you can even work backwards right from the end of the phrase. But yeah, so yeah, great. Okay, so there's something, and we can do the little slur to make it a thing and add an accent, all those similar types of things. So then we have a really similar but different sort of gesture. All right.
Yep.
So now if we could do a similar kind of thing in E minor, preferably with a semitone. You have a semitone there, which is good, a half step.
Yep.
But something with an E, and maybe put the open E in the bass, the open sixth string in the bass with it.
Okay, so then I guess maybe I would try an E at the 12th fret to do something similar like.
Yeah, you could do that. That's sort of that's another little gem we could use, little seed that we could use later on. So I'm just kind of keeping, these are like sketches almost what we have now. What you did, because you did an F natural, it's going away. That's going away from E minor a little bit.
Yeah.
But use that, and then that's implying a diminished chord, I think. C, D, and a G sharp. Okay.
All right, then. All right, another attempt is going to be just starting with the E again to stay with the E minor and do like an something like a E to D sharp to B.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's a little bit too similar.
Okay.
That's exactly what's here, but down an octave. So if we can, yeah, if we can just change it a little bit more than that. You could center yourself around G on the 3rd fret or B on the 5th fret. That probably gives you. And so it's like start on a note above or below those two notes. So if you're starting on B, maybe start on a C, go down to the B, or start on an A sharp, go up to the B, and you can do the same thing on the G if you want to.
Okay.
I think it would be nice in the G because in the second bar we have the B already. So maybe if you could center around the G, start on a note either above or below G, and then go towards G.
Okay, so it'd be, if I start below, it'd be going up to G and then go down to. No.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think going to the E is really nice. So. Whoops. And then maybe as for that a little accompaniment voice, you could just have. I mean, what's the most natural thing if you're in E minor and you've got the E in the bass there?
Mm-hmm.
If you want an accompaniment that's kind of sort of around this range here, can you think of something?
G or B?
I think G and B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, G and B, just open G and B. I think that works really nicely. All right, I think that should do. Oops, let me do this. Same thing, voices. And that. All right, let's see what we have. This could already be a good couple of good 3 measures to begin with. Okay, I think it needs to, this third bar sort of, it's a bit too repetitive.
Jumps. Yeah, yeah.
Right? And it jumps a bit too suddenly. It's a bit too repetitive. That's the main thing. It's like the same, exactly the same gesture each time. I like the first 2 bars though. I think that's already. Do you want to have a go at playing those first 2 bars?
Yeah, sure. Oops.
A. That's with A in the bass there in the second bar. Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. Good. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, I like the first 2 so far.
Yeah, you like the first 2. Me too.
Those are very playable.
Really nice. Very playable too. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. That's what we want. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Now, so Adelita, so he goes to the dominant, to a B chord, and I think that's what's missing. That's another thing that's sort of wrong about that third bar. It's that it doesn't go to the dominant. So I'm gonna keep this over there. Maybe we can use it later. But now what we want is, we want a B in the bass.
Okay.
Let's see. What else does he do here? And there's also that melody. Oh yeah, what are you doing there? Can you do that again?
This is the chord I think of as E minor's friend.
Yeah, B7, exactly. Yeah,
B7.
Minor's friend. I like that.
Yes.
Oh, that was nice.
E sharp
and that sort of open G, like. Like maybe something like that, or I heard something like. Do you want to kind of play around with starting on B7, but with that open G and sort of.
Not too familiar with this one.
Do you know the piece Spanish Romance?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you could kind of play around with that, the way that it goes. If you play that chord of B7, but then add the G and resolve it to the F sharp. Let me show you that. And you can do this either on the first string. That makes a really nice sighing gesture. Or you can do it on the open. And then go to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can just play around with this idea a little bit.
Okay. So some B7, B minor 7 magic in this third measure somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the fourth measure would go back to E minor and then some connection to the next part.
Yes. Yeah, that would be the idea. And we'll add a couple ornaments as well. Ornamenting that fourth bar. So now I have an idea. Like I kind of like the idea of the idea of this third bar, and we might change this later, but the idea of the third bar going down the octave, because it kind of sort of reflects what happens in the B section where he brings the melody down the octave in the last line. But you're doing it in the middle of a phrase, which isn't necessarily like it's not. I think that can work. That effect can sometimes work. I'm thinking of a piece right now, Mazurka Appassionata by Barrios, where he does this effect. Let me get this. He sort of he has these melodies quite high, like not super high, but and then he ends it kind of low. It has a really nice effect to it. Something pretty satisfying about that. So maybe you want to experiment with the melody now going onto the open G, F sharp, that kind of over the B7 chord.
Okay.
Or it doesn't even have to be, just something around the B7 chord, around the, if I give you a clue with my left hand, just some, like melody sort of around these notes here. G,
yeah.
With it holding that second finger on the B.
Yep.
So I think if you want to just
play with that.
play around with that.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of heard a little something nice happening there. Yeah, just keep on. I think you want to probably stick with what you've got this. I think this is nice at the start with the G to the F sharp.
Yep.
I think that's working really well. And you seem to like going to the E as well after that. So we have that. So, and then it's a matter of sort of. So Tariga does have a melodic note in the third bar. It has a melodic note there, whereas so like if we look back at Adelita, in the third bar he's got that that G on the top there.
Yeah.
On the third beat, which contrasts. So yeah, you could now you can just finish off that melody. You can experiment with. You might want to maybe just as a guitaristic effect. Maybe we could add an ornament a little early. Maybe you could do a glissé up to another note on the fourth string. Since you're on the fourth string, it's a good glissé on. Maybe you want to experiment with sliding up your third finger and see where that takes you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll play around with that then.
Yep. And I'll get this back on the screen for you. So you have, that.
And then could you show me it's the very beginning again? So I'll just jot that down real quick.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can send this to you as well.
Okay.
At the end, I'll send you the
Okay. Well, okay. I won't worry about it.
Okay, yeah.
And then And then I guess after the fourth measure, then the next three are going to be largely similar already again.
Yeah.
It's just kind of finish where you land it then. That's going to be the difference.
That's right. Yeah. Once we have the first 4 bars, it's pretty much the A section's pretty much done. So, which is great. Yeah. Now this is very, like what we're sort of doing, like sometimes composing happens very quickly and then sometimes it takes a long time to get one measure down. It's that's totally normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, do you want to try that third bar again and see if you can slide up your third finger from that E up the 4th string and just see where your ear sort of takes you. Okay, that's one option. Sounds nice. Okay, do you have any preferences? Once you went to a G, that was one. And then I think you went to an A, and then there was a B. Do you have is your ear kind of leaning towards one of those? You want to try them again, or?
Let's see. It's kind of hard to judge without hearing the first 2 with it, I guess.
Without hearing the first 2 measures?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me eliminate one of them for one reason. So if we had a G there, the reason I don't like the G is because the melody starts on a G, so the range of the melody is sort of static, like the start and end point of it. Now so I guess there's 2 options. There's an A or a B.
A seems better. Well,
you could also go to a C. That's another option.
Too big of a
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's too big. I agree. Yeah, and after hearing it, yeah, it's a bit too big. Yeah. So the A, I think it sounds maybe the A is a good.
Yeah.
And then that kind of leads well to, to an E minor chord. I think that will lead you well to an E minor chord. So okay. So we can go with that for now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. All right, and let me get maybe some sort of accompaniment to go. What does Tariga do? Let's go back to the. Oops. What does he do with the accompaniment? Oh, he just leaves it, just a bass voice, and then he gives that third beat some notes underneath.
Yeah, extra color.
Extra color underneath. Yeah, we'll have to think about that maybe in the future. I think what would be good is if we can finish the phrase up now, because we can always go back and edit things a little bit if we need to. So this A, if we're thinking about going to E minor, you've got sort of 2 options. You can either go up to the B or down to the G, I think, to.
Mm-hmm.
What does Tariga kind of, although Tariga does, he starts at. He actually starts at on a note that's not part of the chord. So you could also, as an option, you could actually stay on the A. And then resolve from there. So you have, I think let's try to sort of mimic Tariga a little bit and stick with the A.
Okay.
On the first beat.
Okay.
And you'll have an E in the bass.
Okay.
So. And then if you can make the melody now in just flowing in quavers or eighth notes, sorry. So I think of like playing a scale on starting on A with an E in the bass, and think of sort of playing a scale up and down a little bit. Yeah, and maybe not. Maybe go up and down, sort of like.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. With an E in the bass. E in the bass. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Play that one more time. Sorry, I need to catch that. And then we're at this. All right, I think we have something pretty good, or very good for, opening sort of a sketch here. It's really promising. And we could maybe add some. Okay. Now, if you don't mind, could I try and play it first?
Oh, of course not.
That's
Please
okay?
do. Yeah.
All right. And then we could just go back to. Yeah, just a simple way to end it. So, well, we could do something different than that, but yeah, very promising, I think. What do you think? Are you happy with?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, actually.
A lot of fun? Great.
Yeah.
It's sounding really, I love it. Sounding really beautiful. You've got that opening there, particularly, I think that came very quickly, very easily. We might have to edit this a little bit, but we'll see how we go.
Okay.
I mean, I think it sounds nice already. Just add a couple of chords, a couple of ornaments to the fourth bar, and maybe a chord on the last beat of the third bar.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much an A section. Once you repeat that, finish on the E minor. Yeah, awesome, beautiful,
great.
All right, so I'll send this to you, and feel free to, you can play around with it, during the week, play around with it and write out some ideas, things like that, and let me know if you have any, questions or.
Okay, will do.
Fantastic. All right, cool. Very good.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Awesome.
All right, see you next
time.
All
right, see you next time. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.